Well, hello and welcome to What Had Happened Was.
What
What
had
had
happened
happened?
was, my mic is all
Yeah,
the way up here. It was like across the room.
I was going to say
What
something
up?
sounded weird when the intro was playing. I was like, I think I'm hearing reverb because I think it was going through the mic.
Yeah, it
That's
was
funny.
right there. It was right there. Sorry about that.
It's okay. Hey, everybody. Welcome to the show. This is What Had Happened Was, a show that we talk about MMA and get into, sort of pop culture stuff too, but we also interview fighters. I'm Karyn. If you've never seen the show before, Karyn Bryant, I'm an anchor for the UFC. I'll be back on the job this weekend in Austin, and I am here
Hey,
with,
Angela Overkill Hill. I am a UFC fighter in the strawweight division. We had a couple pretty dope fights in the strawweight division last night, but yeah, that's me.
welcome to the show. So for those who don't know, this show, you could be watching this on my YouTube channel or my Twitter. It's also on Angie's Twitch. And then tomorrow it's available as an audio download on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and iHeartRadio. So we got you covered pretty much.
Yes, yes,
And we're twinning
covered.
tonight.
Yeah, we both got the big curly curls going on. I did like a twist out
Guys.
just now, and it's always one of those things where I'm like praying that it looks like I did my hair a little bit.
Right.
Because sometimes it just looks crazy.
Right.
I always joke that when the twist out is bad, I look like Frederick Douglass. So, so if you ever see me walking around looking like Frederick Douglass, no, I tried, but the hair, it does what it wants to do. Some
Just,
days it's the humidity, the heat, I don't know, something about the air. Maybe what I drank.
right.
Sometimes the hair doesn't want to cooperate.
Yeah, humidity has a lot to do with it in terms of shrinkage for me.
Yes.
Shrinkage is not just a thing for men. Shrinkage for me, if it is very humid out, this thing just gets like really short and tight.
Yeah.
But if not, then it's because it's actually pretty long. If you were to straighten it
Hey,
out,
look at
it's
that
actually
length.
yeah, it's long and springy, so it's pretty good. It's pretty
Do
good.
you
Um,
have you straightened it out
Not in a
recently?
while.
I've
I
seen it like before, like a long time ago, but
Yeah, not in a minute. I might do, and I actually was thinking I could have done it for work. But speaking of humidity, I'll be in Texas, and I'm not trying to frustrate my hair in Texas with that humidity, and it just so it'd be a losing battle. So
yeah.
maybe the next show out in Vegas, but not in Texas.
Well, if anyone was watching Cage Warriors, I got to commentate on that. And at the beginning of the show, we do like this intro or whatever. And I
Yeah,
swear my hair was at least half the height or twice the height when I got there. Then by the time we did the interview, it was about here. Then by the time the end of the night came, it was down here. So so the
yeah,
shrinkage is definitely real. And we were by the shore, so that
right. Of
didn't
course.
help either. The mist, the dew from the shore is just coming in and sitting on my head and going, "Hey, don't you want to go back inside of your hair?" So
All of
yeah.
that, all of that. Well, what up, Ohad Okan? What up? He's saying, or they're saying
What
hello.
up?
And yeah, I hope we talk
Oh,
about the decisions. We are going to talk about the decisions. Yes,
yeah.
Craig Beasley. What had happened was, that's right. What's up? Hey, Johnny Morrow. What's up, good lady? What's good, ladies? How are you? I'm good. How you feeling? Hey,
I'm
warrior
pretty
fella.
good. Yeah. I
Hey,
was like,
what
let
up?
me let me just shout out to real quick. Hey, we're live. Say hi,
Yeah.
Karen.
Hey, what up?
All right, hop on. Yep.
Hop
So we're
on.
doing good. Yeah, and I definitely want to get to those decisions because poor Talia Santos. Now, I don't know if it was you I was talking to last time we had our show on, but I was saying, man, this is not the fight to bet your whole house on with Valentina because this girl has skills. And I wasn't sure if she had the, what do you call it, just the chops yet, but she definitely
Hmm.
had the potential to be someone who could beat Valentina. And dude, did she fight an amazing fight. Like, this is Valentina Shevchenko. Like, this girl destroys everyone.
Yeah.
So to even be competitive is one thing. Everyone remembers how much props Jennifer Maya, Jessica
Uh huh.
Maya, Jennifer
Jennifer.
Maya. Yeah, everyone remembers how much props she got just for getting a takedown, just for like
Right.
getting a little control time. But Talia Santos did that almost every round. So yeah, let's definitely talk about that at some point. I know we have a really cool guest who's coming on later. So I don't know where you wanna
Well, we
start
can
with.
get into that for now. Yeah, because it was quite
Okay.
the fight for Valentina. And for the first time in a long time, she lost rounds. That hasn't happened, in forever. And apparently, on one scorecard, she'd actually lost the fight, and that hasn't happened since, I guess the fight with Amanda Nunes is the last time she lost because,
Yeah.
she's a machine. I mean, the thing about Valentina is as she's walking out, I can't help it. I'm just like, queen, you know what I mean? Like, I mean, it's like she's amazing, But yes, to your point, Tyler Santos definitely had an incredible fight, and so I was. Texting with my friend Evie, who works with Globo and was over in Singapore. She's a Brazilian girl, and we were texting during the fight. And I said, we were both just kind of freaking out, like, oh my god, like, are we seeing what we think we're seeing here? And she said,
Right.
well, I think Tyler's winning, but I'm biased, because I'm Brazilian. I'm like, no, she's winning. I said,
Yeah.
I have her up 3-1. I'm like, she's winning,
Yeah.
and so she said, okay, yeah, I wasn't sure. And so, but here's the thing. I had her up 3-1, but then the way that Valentina finished so strong, as soon as that fifth round was playing out, I said to Evie, I said, well, I think it's going to be a split decision for Valentina. And then that's how so I saw it as a very competitive, incredible fight, but but in the end, I wasn't surprised that they gave it to Valentina.
Why?
I don't know. It's funny because it's weird. Like I said, I had Tyler winning 3-1, but then once, like I said, once the way Valentina finished, I was thinking, okay, I bet somebody else is going to see some of these other rounds a little closer than maybe I thought.
I think it's kind of similar to that Max Holloway versus Volkanovski fight where it wasn't as close, but because Valentina had moments in like the third and the second round, she had little moments where she was landing a bit and then she got taken down.
Mhm.
Those rounds weren't as dominant as Valentina's last 2 rounds. So the 2 rounds that Valentina won in my head were way more dominant than the 3 rounds that Talia Santos won, but I still felt like she did enough to win. And especially if you talk about the headbutt. The headbutt was such a momentum changer. As soon as that eye started swelling, it was immediately causing her issues. She started eating head kicks on that side, eating a lot more damage on that side of her body, where she couldn't see the things coming at her. And like people don't realize how much that does for your peripheral vision.
Right.
And there could have been double vision too. I saw that she actually had to go in for a orbital
Yeah.
bone surgery.
Broken
So
orbital.
yeah, broken orbital surgery. So that it messes with you every time it gets hit. It hurts, obviously, but a lot of fighters are tough enough to deal with pain. It's not the pain that's the hard part. It's like your vision being impaired. It's
Right.
the fact that like all of a sudden you have a blinder on this side of your face. So you're trying to fight someone and you can only use this part of your vision. And sometimes you get double vision too. So you're fighting two Valentina Shevchenko.
Right.
It's bad enough fighting one. You're fighting
Bad
two
enough.
now.
That's what I'm saying.
So,
then you have Valentina Shevchenko as the one who's actually trying to take your head off.
yeah.
So she's so technical and so precise and so able to just keep tagging you wherever she wants to.
Yes. And she continued to toss her head in the mix like that. She did some dirty stuff in that fight. I'm not gonna lie. Like I was watching, I was like, yo, like her true colors were kind of showing in that fight. Like there were a few headbutts, there was a cage grab at some point. There was a little dirty stuff. So I was definitely like, come on, man. Like after the first headbutt, and then she continued to go.
Yeah, but that's because you have an opposite stance. But that's because you have the opposite stance people. It's just a lefty versus a righty. And so it's going to happen.
I don't know. I mean, I'm just saying she knew her head would win in the clash of heads because she has an apple head.
I don't know, man. I don't know
Her head
that was a
definitely looks
strategy.
harder
I don't know if a headbutt was a strategy.
I know people who use headbutts as strategies.
Yikes.
I'm just putting it out there. I don't do it, but I know people. I
Yikes.
like those people, but
Well, see, now Trady 80 is saying that Valentina overcame adversity for sure. But Jimmy Jam 213 said, if you ain't cheating, you ain't trying.
this is true. This is
So
definitely true. Yeah, if you ain't cheating, you ain't trying. And she
I
held
did
on to
notice
the
the
belt.
fence grab. Yes, I did notice that.
Yeah. And in
You
the
know,
end, who does it affect if you do a little bit of dirty stuff in order to keep your belt? It only really affects you. It affects your purse. It affects like
right.
your ability to book more fights, to be able to do all the extra stuff you do on the side as a champion. So I'm not mad at her for doing it, but it happened.
Yeah, well, Joe Bose was saying he thought around forehead, but that should have been a knockout for Tyler. Changed the momentum of the fight for sure. I still thought Tyler won 3-2. He gave Tyler rounds 1-3. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
like I said, I was going into the fifth. I had a 3-1 as well. But then, yeah, it was, and I know you can't. I know they can't retroactively go back and score those other rounds, but like I said, as soon as I saw the way, and it's kind of like what you were saying, when you saw how dominant Valentina was in those rounds, then you could see that people might have looked and saw her success early in the fight too, and then in those closer moments, like you said, like 'cause she would steal a moment here and do something, kind of flashy and cool here, and it is still Valentina, you know what I mean, and so. Yeah, it was the most she's had to fight for that belt, and I think I bet she's probably going to be in the gym on Monday. You know what I mean, working on
Yeah.
some stuff,
Yeah,
but because
because she
she's just
doesn't
that
have
kind
a
of person.
broken orbital because she didn't get headbutted in the face and get her face broken.
Yikes, yikes, yikes. Well, I tell you what, let's welcome in our guest and we'll get his opinion on this. Ladies and
Ah,
gentlemen, UFC's Duron Winn. What up, Duron? How
What's
are
up,
you?
guys?
hey.
Good. How are you? Can you guys
Good,
hear me
good,
good?
good. Yeah. You look good. You look good. Hey,
All right.
so we were just talking about Valentina versus Tyler Santos. Who did you think won that fight?
I actually didn't watch it. Is that bad?
It's okay. It's
I
okay.
actually didn't
Ah,
watch it. So I generally do. Like I love fighting. I love combative sports, but I don't watch it every Saturday. You know what
Uh,
I mean? Here and there I will, and I really did want to watch, but I just had like some other stuff going on, especially with fight week starting and getting ready to travel this week and stuff like that. So I just kind of got those done as opposed to like dedicating my time to like watch a $80 pay per view or however expensive it is.
yeah, I get that. Yeah, you got stuff going on. You have big
Yeah,
things happening this weekend. So
yeah, that's right.
super excited. And you were supposed to fight this guy a while back, right?
Yeah, it's actually been on the books twice before this.
Wow.
So, I guess the UFC really wanted it to happen. I last year I separated a rib
Oof.
in July, and then I had kind of like a personal like medical illness the second time in October. And so, I mean, it was a rough year. I had surgery after my last fight, which was December of 2020.
Oh,
mhm.
wow.
And then so I was out for a few months, and then I booked that fight, and then I separated my rib 10 days out, and then I withdrew the week of fight week in October.
Mm.
So it was a rough year last year, but I'm back.
Yeah.
Aw.
I'm back.
Well,
Yeah.
and it's
Hey.
it's good. And the thing is I mean, rib injuries suck anyway. But as a wrestler, like you can't not have your rib.
Yeah, and like the thing is I actually did this injury when I was like 15 years old.
Uh.
And just every now and then it comes back. And it's like if you feel it, I have this like crazy lump over my rib cage of like the cartilage built up there. And like just every now and then, maybe if I'm, who knows, if it gets hit in the right spot or whatever, I'll tweak it again. But it's probably happened 4 or 5 times in that 15-year span. And
Yeah.
I guess I just hope and pray it doesn't happen on a regular basis.
Yeah.
Ah, man, that's rough. But at
Yeah, for
least
sure.
you can recognize it. Okay, don't just ignore it. Like take this thing seriously, nurse it back to
Yeah.
health.
And the thing is like when it happened, I actually was like, I'm just gonna fight. I like talked to my
Mm.
coaches. I talked to DC about it. I was like, I think I'm just gonna fight. And I think they talked behind my back, and they were like, bro.
As coaches do.
Yeah, they were
Yeah.
like, bro, like don't like risk this fight over like whatever you trying to be tough. Like it's your rib. You can't do anything for it. That's the
Right.
most terrible thing about a rib. So it's all right. I'm healthy now, and that's really all that matters, you know.
Cool. Cool. Well, what do you make of the matchup? I mean, like you said, it seemed like, excuse me, that they wanted to keep the fight intact between you and Phil Haas. So what do you make of the matchup? Kind of a powerful dude.
Yeah, no, I like it. I guess at this point in my career, everybody's going to be tough. Everyone's going to have like a really good attribute. Everyone's going to be able to hit hard or kick hard or have really good grappling or wrestling or whatever.
Mhm.
And honestly, it's a great matchup for me stylistically because, I think my wrestling is better than his. And I think since he is my shortest opponent that I'll have fought in the UFC, I'll be able to like display my striking a little bit more. It's like I think, I mean, if you're not like a super casual, you'll know that I actually have all right boxing from my first fight in the
Of
UFC.
course.
And, but a lot of casuals are like, oh, you just wrestle, you suck, whatever.
Right.
But I like to think that I can throw my hands a little bit, and I
Sure.
really want to be able to like display that and show people. And really, in the year and a half since I've been in the octagon, I've grown so much as a mixed martial artist. I'm really only like in my 5th year of fighting, and so I'm still green. But as a wrestler, I got rushed. Right, I got rushed to like I was in the UFC in 5 fights, and my first 4 fights were first round knockouts, and then I fought Tom Lawler on the Golden Boy card, and that was my only fight that went the full distance.
Yeah.
And so, but yeah, not to go off on a tangent, but I really like the matchup with Phil. I think that I'll be able to showcase, my full, I guess, repertoire of my, fighting skills. So I'm excited.
Nice. So do you prefer fighting people that are a little shorter, or do you not mind? Because for me, like I hate when I have to fight someone who's like this little meatball wrestler, because I feel like as soon as I throw a jab, I'm like, where'd they go? Oh shit, I'm on my back,
Yeah, for sure. And what's funny is like, well, one, I've been used to it. Like my whole life, I've wrestled monsters. Like my whole life. I wrestled the best guys in the world for like 6 years. So it's like I wrestled like guys who were 6 feet monsters, right?
Yeah.
And so it doesn't really matter to me. I just know that like, one, if you're taller, I'll be able to take you down easier. If you're shorter, I'll be able to hit you. So you decide, you pick your poison, So it doesn't really matter to me. And I'm to the point where I know how to utilize my size a little better because I do hear that, Angie. I hear that. When I start moving a certain way, start putting my head in people's chests and stuff, they're like, I don't know how to deal with that. Even if they're like 6'1", 6'2", they're like, I don't know how to deal with that. It scares me so much. So I've been able to like, I've like found myself a little bit more as a fighter. Like, it's like I went from, breaking a significant strike record my first fight. And then my next fight in the UFC, I had like 9 takedowns. So it was like, I've been learning how to like mix it up as opposed to being like, all right, I'm just going to box this entire fight, or I'm just going to wrestle this entire fight. So yeah, I've started to find myself as a fighter.
Really nice.
And is that
usually, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was just going to say, and that's usually the sign of someone who becomes super dominant, someone who's just able to take the fight wherever it presents itself, as opposed to following a very strict line, a very strict game plan, and trying to force it to happen when it's not necessarily there. So that's really cool.
Yeah, I'm excited for the future, man. I always tell people that I talk to, it's like I'm 7-2, and I'll never probably try to get those losses back. But what I want in the future is when I'm 17-2 and I'm fighting for a title, they're like, wow, Duran lost to so-and-so and so-and-so, because you see that with champions all the time now, right?
Yeah.
It's like somebody lost earlier in their career 5, 6, 7 years ago, and now all of a sudden they can't be beat. So it's like, it happens, it can happen. Some people find their groove at a different time, and I feel like I'm starting to find my groove right now.
Well, that's great. Jan Blachowicz is a perfect example of that. Charles Oliveira is a perfect example of that. They're definitely late bloomers who had rocky starts in the beginning of their careers in the UFC. and look at them now. You know,
Yeah.
they're incredible. I do have to ask about your training now with Khabib. I mean, you have the GOAT there.
Yeah.
So what has that been like? I know on your Instagram and stuff, you've been very appreciative of him and have expressed how much you've learned from him. But what is that like?
Um, at first I would say it was a little awkward because, for the last, 4 or 5 years since I've been in California, we've been teammates, right?
Yeah.
And I've always looked up to him, but the difference between me and a lot of these guys are like young up and comers coming up is like, I mean, I'm not young. I turned 33 tomorrow actually, but
Okay. Hey, happy
Still
birthday.
baby.
Then,
You're still
yeah.
baby.
And so I've been around like phenomenal athletes my entire life. Obviously I'm really DC's my best friend / brother. So it's like I've been around these great I guess stars for a long time, even in the wrestling world. So, for a while it's like we were kind of just like, I wouldn't say I'm ever equal to him because he is the greatest of all time. But, I almost saw him as equal as my teammate, right? But then he kind of started finally like transitioning to the coach. And in reality, it's like, it's what's best for a guy like me. Like, I've been doing this my whole life, like training at least. So I always think I have it figured out, And with Khabib there, he's so strict and he reminds me of a wrestling coach. MMA coaches are, for the most part, more laid back, but wrestling coaches are super intense. And that's what Khabib is. And then in my head, I'm like, dude, is this how his father was? Is this how his dad was to him? And as much as I resented it, like the last 6 weeks, it is just, I'm in the best shape of my life. I'm mentally, sharper than I've been ever walking into a fight.
Yeah.
It was hell. And there was days that I would like be driving to practice and I'm like, I wouldn't want to, maybe I'd want to take it light or something, because my body hurts. I've been doing this shit since I was 4. And so, but one, I didn't want to sound like a pussy. And then 2, but then I'm like talking myself into it. Like on the way to practice, I'm like, I'm going to tell Khabib, I don't give a fuck who he is. I'm going to tell him that I'm going to take a light today. You know what I'm saying? You start trying to hype yourself up. But in reality, he pushed me on so many days this camp to kind of do another round or keep training, do 2 more rounds instead of taking a round off. Go with somebody who is in his high caliber and just keep moving.
Right.
And so and I respect him, and that's something that I guess with wrestling and being a wrestler, I've always had to look up to somebody who has achieved something. In MMA, there's a lot of self-proclaimed coaches. So, and I don't want to say this in a prima donna way or anything like that. It's just I have a hard time showing respect to a coach who maybe hasn't accomplished something. And that might be ignorant of me, but it's just how I've always been ingrained that all my coaches in the past have been so successful at what they've done that it's easier for me to listen to them and trust in what they tell me to do, So whatever he tells me to do, I was talking to DC about it. I'm like, he was like, the shitty thing about Khabib is it was like, you can never be like, well, you wouldn't have done this because he would have. Know he would have trained this hard. He would have done all this conditioning. So it's been phenomenal. I'm even thinking my next fights, I would love to obviously looking forward. I would love to maybe fight again in October. And I know they're going to be in probably Fight Island or something like that.
Yeah.
I'm thinking, I need to figure out how to implement Khabib into every one of my camps until I absolutely get this shit figured out,
Nice. That'd be great if you could.
It's been amazing, man. He's an amazing leader. He's an amazing man. He's funny. He's cool. He's a good dude, bro. He's a gem, man. He really is.
That's awesome.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Is he always at your camps at AKA, or do you have to go to him sometimes?
He's at AKA because whenever Umar is fighting the week after me, Tagir's fighting the week after me. Usman is fighting in Bellator. What is it? When are we fighting?
So he's staying busy.
July.
There's a stable of guys, right? Yeah.
So whenever these guys get into camp, they come over.
Okay.
And whether a time is, if they're being active, I mean, they'll be here for 6 months out of the year.
Yeah.
In America.
Yeah.
As long as they got visas, but when he's here, he's in charge.
He's in charge. Is our boy DC still putting any work in or no?
Put him out there. Put him out there. What's he doing?
Let me do my boy like that.
Is he at least watching tape in the back room?
Something. I'm like, something, bro. No, he's busy. He's on TV. He does things. And,
he's a superstar now.
He's a superstar now. And he's 42, right?
Yeah.
Like Khabib is 34, 35.
Yeah.
So it was like, if you think about, so Khabib's still in there rolling with us, but DC probably would have done the same thing if he was that age.
Yeah, he's still a little older now. Yeah.
So no, it hurts, right?
Didn't want to be in there with you young bucks, trying to prove something.
And he's put so much work in his entire. Now it's time to rest.
Yeah, I hear that.
Like Thanos when he sits down on the rock. He's like, now I rest.
I hear that.
No one else. No one else in the room.
Yeah.
Somebody says DC putting in that work on the golf course. Do you golf, Duran? Do you golf too?
We actually golfed last weekend.
Oh, nice. How do you shoot? How do you play?
I play all right. I used to play a while ago when I lived in Iowa. A couple of wrestlers on the team, they grew up playing golf, and we'd go golf, and I started, find a liking for it. And I haven't golfed as much in the recent years, but I swear last weekend when we went, I was like, dang, I should get out here more often. But I golfed. I mean, shoot, I bet I shot a 107 or something last week. But like, that's not. I've golfed twice this year. Yeah. So then in my head, I'm like, if I golfed a little bit more, I'd be better. But I already know how that works. And then a few months down the road, I'm shooting worse.
Right. No, I know how that feels because I haven't played in a long time. But every time I do play, like you said, like you'll do okay, or you'll have a couple of few holes where you're like, God, if only I could just play more often, I could get really good at this. And then you realize you're like, oh, I guess I don't have 6 hours to spare, 2 times or 3 times a week to come out here and get good at this,
No, for sure. And even last week, it was me, DC, Lil Dan, so DC's son, and then our buddy David. And dude, I bet we took almost 6 hours out there.
Yeah.
It's just too much. By the last, by hole 15, I'm like, all right, bro, I'd be okay if we just left,
Right.
I can't focus for that long, bro.
Yeah.
It's like Monopoly with walking.
Yes.
Right.
You get stuck in there forever. You know what you should do is go down to that drive range in Vegas. That place is really fun. I don't golf. With the drop off and
it's so fun.
That place is pretty fun.
I love it. Yeah, it is cool. So you mentioned before when you first got in the UFC and you set the record. I remember I was working that event, and it was the fight with Eric Spicely, and you were just talking before about being able to show a little bit more of your hands and let that go. So that fight was kind of bananas. I remember that, and it was a debut, and that was like you guys just went, and Eric is a lot taller, right? Because Eric is at least 6 feet tall, right? I mean, and he definitely has those. Like real long arms and stuff like that. And so that fight was really impressive. What is your memory of that? Because that really was quite the way to make debut, because you guys got fight of the night, right? Yeah,
we got fight of the night. I guess my memory of that is just like I that was like the competitive warrior spirit in me. That was like my auto drive just took over. It's like all I know, right? Like I've done 1v1 my entire life. And so it's like, I was just in there, and I remember the only thing I could focus on was don't gas yourself out, just keep hitting him and he'll go down. And he just never went down. And then it was almost like every time before I was about to finish him, he would knee me or, uppercut me or something and knock me off my rhythm. And then it's that was just obviously being a green, a raw fighter. I didn't know what I should have done in those. I was just just keep punching him, just keep punching him, just keep punching him. And obviously it didn't work. I mean, it worked out, but it didn't. But so like those are like the small things since then that I've changed. That now I know if I get in a situation like that, the things I'll do now a little differently, as opposed to just like being like the Energizer Bunny, like So
Nice.
yeah, it was awesome. It was an amazing. I'll obviously cherish that for the rest of my life.
Nice. Well, plus, Ange, this guy over here has several KOs too.
I know it's pretty insane, but I always say that wrestlers have such an advantage over a lot of MMA fighters, like especially when you're like a pedigree, like D1, wrestled all your
Yeah,
life. You have this advantage where you have just strong legs and strong hips and glutes, like the glutes, and
yeah,
that's where
for
the
sure,
power, the punch power comes
Yeah.
from. So when you're
for sure.
working your glutes from age whatever, age 10, age 6, whenever you started, up until 33, and now
Yeah,
you're throwing overhands, those punches hurt. They put
for
people out.
sure.
Yeah.
So I am not surprised. I used to be surprised, but now that I'm a nice seasoned veteran, I'm not surprised when
Yeah.
a wrestler comes in and their topology says KO, 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 because your
hmm
punch to set up the takedown ends up knocking them
Hmm.
out. You know,
How
Yeah, for
about Dan
sure, for
Henderson?
so
sure,
yeah,
for
it's a
sure.
really cool I don't know, just like a special power, because as soon as you don't like what you see on the feet, you can take them
Yeah.
down, and then when they get back up, they're too tired to hit you, so then you can hit them back, then you can take them down again. Like wrestlers have such a unique way of draining people's energy tanks, and it's
Yeah,
always really impressive when I see someone break in. And I think the biggest hurdle for wrestlers, and correct me if I'm wrong, is the fear of getting punched back, like getting punched in
uh-huh.
the face. Some grapplers in general, not just wrestlers, but some grapplers who dominate on the ground just can't handle that. So was that
Hmm.
like a hump that you have had to get over, or was it pretty natural for you?
It was pretty natural for me because I guess like wrestling at like the world level, we hand fight really hard anyways, right? And it's
Mm.
aggressive. I've bumped my head. I've been slapped in my head. I've been clubbed in my head. It's pretty like, and I got a big head, so
Uh-oh.
I feel
Pull
like I
that
don't.
Shevchenko. Bah!
Yeah.
Oh no.
Bah!
So no, it wasn't a real issue. I have a high pain tolerance just because I've been on the mat since I was 4.
Okay.
Yeah.
So getting punched, I know a lot of really high level wrestlers that it did bother them getting punched, and even like it made them not transition into fighting because of they didn't want to
Right.
get punched.
Yeah.
And but what's funny is before I flew out to San Jose in 2015 to help DC wrestle. It was his first fight against um oh my gosh, Anthony
Yeah.
Johnson.
Oh, okay.
And
Okay.
I had no intention of fighting. You know what I used to tell people all the time is like, yeah, does it look like I don't want to get kicked in the head. I don't know
Yeah.
want to know what that feels like. I don't want to get kneed in my face. Da, 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 da.
Right.
Right.
I had no intention in fighting. But then I was obviously the days we didn't wrestle, they would just like give me some gear to spar dudes, and I've always
Sure.
been a fighter in the sense. And I guess after I did a couple of rounds with some fighters out here, um, Crazy Bob like pulled DC to the corner and was like, "Who is this kid? Like, we need to sign him."
Nice.
Nice.
And then the rest is history. DC told me, DC is a slick talker,
Yeah.
but
Yeah. Yeah.
I was like, bro, I was like, I was probably so I was gonna try to make the Olympic team in 2016 and then probably transition into like college coaching. And I
Nice.
was like, the position I'm in, I got a secure job after this. I've done it. I've trained my whole life. I'm okay to settle now. And I was like, be honest with me. And he was like, because I knew that if I moved out here, I was gonna have to start all over.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
And so he was like, I think you'll be really successful, and I think you'll make a lot of money. So I was like, all right, screw it, let's go. And I've always been one
Hey.
to like jump out on the ledge like that. So
Nice. I
yeah,
think
Okay.
I think MMA might have snatched up one of your wrestling brother. And do you know Chasen Blair? He's a little young,
yeah,
but
I
I
know who
think he
Jason
came
Blair
out
is.
to yeah, I think he came out to AKA once to train with you guys, or
Oh
maybe it
yeah, he
was
might have.
He
Mhm.
might have. But he fought on Cage Warriors
I
on
know.
Friday
He
too.
just knocked our boy out. Kona actually trains at AKA sometimes.
No,
I was
he
like,
seems like
no.
such a good kid, man.
I
Like
know,
that Kona.
bro.
I did feel horrible
Kona's
for
the
him.
man. He's such a nice kid. He's the kind of
Oh,
guy like he could be gone for 6 months. He comes back. Everyone's happy to see him.
Yeah,
Sweet
yeah.
lion boy,
oh,
real good soul, right? And I remember I think I had just got done like running or something, and I like texted my buddy. I go, "Hey, has Kona fought yet?" And he was like, "Yeah, it's all bad. Check Instagram." And I looked, and I was like, "No."
That sucks.
he had some
And I
moments though. He definitely had moments in the
yeah,
fight. Like,
and you know what's like I hate to be on it. Like I always try to be transparent when I know a kid. And I knew
mm,
Chasen growing up, he was a high level recruit, and he was like I think he went D1 for a while. He didn't really pan
mm,
out, but if you went D1 at all, you were probably a pretty good wrestler.
right.
Yeah.
And so hold on. Hey, hey,
Uh.
hey!
Oh
Hey,
no,
could
what
you all be
happens?
quiet a little bit, please?
this is like the beginning of a horror movie.
It is
So
totally.
we have
I've been
I'm
watching
helping.
horror movies all
So we
weekend.
have this. No, we're setting up for DC's camp tomorrow, and some of the kids actually from his hometown, Louisiana, are here already, and they're up there like screaming and shit. I
Nice.
told them not to, but I'm just here helping set up for the camp tomorrow.
We
But anyways,
appreciate
what were we talking
it.
about?
Jason. Oh,
Yeah,
your
so his
transparency.
pedigree, right? His
Yeah.
pedigree. And I'm like, dude, Chasen Blair, he's a good wrestler. But then it's like, I know Kona's been around wrestlers. He's been around MMA for a long time. And I'm like, I think he'll be all right. I mean, I don't know. You never know until they go in there and grab each other. Right?
Yeah.
Right.
And then after I saw that, I was like, ugh, that sucks.
Yeah,
That's
it was a tough fight for Jason too though. Like the initial sprawl was really good. So I'm not surprised he was training with you guys because I was like I thought for sure he was gonna be on his back immediately. But
Yeah,
initially
for
he
sure.
defended the takedown and then like I think just the punches, like the boxing, like that's where he started getting hurt.
Yeah,
But yeah, he seems like a real good kid. But
yeah, he's
yeah,
a good dude.
Jason, he got his start by going out to help Patty Pimlet
Oh, yeah,
nice.
get some wrestling training in, and then he just happened to take a fight out in the UK
Oh,
and
wow.
won, and then he was like, "Oh, I guess I'm an MMA fighter now."
Guess
So
I'm a
it's kind of
fighter.
like I feel like that happens a lot with wrestlers. You're like helping one of us who don't know what the fuck we're doing when it comes
Yes.
to wrestling, and then you realize you have proficiency in the sport. So
Yeah.
that's pretty funny.
Well, it's like what I tell people all the time is like, I've been making people do what I want them to do with their bodies
Mm.
my whole life, right? And they actively know how to defend it. So it's like when I first started like grabbing some of these MMA dudes, even high level guys, I was like, oh, you have no idea what you're doing. Like I can 100% control your body,
Yeah.
So that helped me be, kind of more on a positive, mindset going into it.
Wow.
Confident, yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Hey, I gotta ask a couple of things that are maybe a little bit more serious, but we gotta ask if there's any updates on our boy Cain.
Oh,
If
yeah.
anybody has been talking to him, have you gone to see him? Like, how's he doing? How's he holding up?
He just had another hearing last week and just got continued. I mean, he's been denied bail probably 4 or 5 times. And from my perspective, what I see is I don't know if like the judge has it out for him or she's trying to set an example. And it's like, I love Cain. I've spent a lot of time around him. I know his family. I've been to his house. I've spent a lot of time around Cain. He is a fantastic man. I mean, he's as good as it gets. Gentle soul too. As much as a killer as he was in the octagon, he's a gentle guy. And he obviously did something that was wrong, but wrong in the sense that we can understand. I mean, we wouldn't know what we would do in their shoes, but we'd all like to say that we would do the same thing,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I 100% stand behind him. this is kind of one of those things. Is like even if it was breaking the law, I still support him. But I know DC has been in contact with him a lot, so I know a lot of his like visits and calls have been monitored now because when he first got, this is crazy, but when he first got arrested, a bunch of just random fans were like coming to see him.
Oh,
gosh.
So they were like, they like took up his like visiting slots.
Right.
Yeah, so because you only get like an X amount or something.
For
right?
sure, yeah, and he can't control necessarily who would just show up or whatever, right?
Yeah, and it's like, and I guess that it's like, they said that, I guess it's like, well, at least he was like talking to somebody else or whatever. But I guess it just sucks knowing that he lived such a good life, or he lives such a good life outside of the jail cell, and then you got to go there, and it's just like, and I mean, it is heartbreaking for me. Like, there's a lot of nights that I lay down and I'm like, Jesus, like, Cain's laying in a cell right now. Like, it almost doesn't even like resonate with me. Like,
it's surreal, and it doesn't feel real because, like you said, we all would have done the same thing. Like,
yeah, for sure. And what sucks is we all care and know about who Cain is and we support him. But the sad reality is like, so many other people who don't know him or don't support MMA or whatever, they're like, they're quick to judge, or like, they're just an idiot MMA fighter, but it's like, but he's not that. He's so intelligent.
Right.
And I try to tell people, is like, before all this, man, he is really had been becoming like, he had like found peace within himself. And dude, he was coming to the gym, helping people out. He is just a gentle soul and a very intelligent man. So what I would say is, like, for him to make this decision, he was set. Like, this wasn't like an erratic decision. He was like, hey, I'm gonna do this, and this is what I firmly believe in, and I'm gonna go do it. Like, this wasn't like some like imbecile going and shooting somebody. He like made a decision and he stuck with it, and it's what he felt was right.
Yeah, it really breaks my heart because whenever you hear someone was a really kind soul, a really gentle soul, and then they have a moment like this, it just shows the empathy that they have for people in general. He must have felt so tortured inside, not being able to do anything.
I gotta do something.
Not being able to heal what his little girl went through. And it's just like, it's just so horrible that this is like what we're paying tax dollars for. Like, this is why.
And the thing is, the craziest shit ever is that this dude has been out on bail the entire time. Like, what? I don't understand that. So you get accused of touching a kid, and it wasn't your first time. Just because you might not be able to prove it, it wasn't your first time.
Right.
There's no way, right? He worked. So just so you know, they worked at this. He worked at a daycare that had hundreds of kids. It was like if you look at the sky view of their house, it was an insane mansion. Go look it up after this.
Damn.
So it's like a really, really prestigious daycare, and so this dude's just out. He's out. He can walk in wherever he wants. But the crazier thing is, especially in California, is that Miranda's law or whatever, where you can just search the sexual predators in your area.
Yeah.
Do that. So after this, do that. Go.
Yeah, right.
No, I can't.
You don't want to do that, man. It's scary.
I'll never have kids. I will never have kids if I do that.
It's just bizarre to me. And the thing is even if this dude gets convicted, like, these dudes like get like a slap on the wrist.
Yeah. Yeah, it's crazy. And I bring it up because, and you can see, like, every single comment here, like, here, there's so much support for him, and that is really kind of really what I wanted to impart, is that if and when you see him the next time, just let him know. I mean, I think he knows how much love people have for him.
I've been wanting to write him a letter. I told him, like, I told DC, I was like, hey, I want to write him a letter, just even so much, one, just to tell him, like, I'm thinking about him, just something to occupy his mind while he's in there. All I can think about is how crazy your mind has to go when you're in there, right?
Yeah.
I just feel so awful for him and his family, and it just sucks that it happened to him. It's so crazy that it just happened to him, but like it's like you hear about like these instances like this. It's like these guys do that for like a power play. They pick predominant like people, their kids. Like they don't just pick the guy that's working up the street. They pick just for like, it's fucked up, man.
It's like the guy who like picks a fight with the biggest guy in the bar. Only they're also a pedophile. So it's fucked up. Yeah, the last time I looked up that list was when I was living in New York, and it was disgusting how many people are listed just on one block.
Yeah,
so
it's crazy.
I don't do it anymore,
and I just don't understand how that that law can be like that. And then like this guy, and they're trying to. I have no sympathy. I have no sympathy for the man. I firmly believe if it was my son, so the guy who got shot, the dad.
Right.
I firmly believe if it was my son and I found out that he was doing that, and obviously I don't have children, so I don't know.
Yeah.
But I'd be like, hey man, that's not like, I'm not supporting that. Like, I'm not supporting you. I'm not driving you to. So it's like, you're guilty by association, if you ask me.
Yeah.
Like, you're a piece of shit too, bro. Like, sorry.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. No, he definitely is. And I know for you on the other side too, you've had just some tough times in your family. Is everybody better now? Are people in a good place?
No.
No, that's all right. I'm sorry you're going through that.
It is. It's okay. Yeah. I tried to help my brother last year. It had been going on for a while, and I knew it, and I obviously didn't support it, and my family is super supportive, my mom, my grandma, and everybody, and he's had chance after chance after chance after chance. So it was like he had so many chances that I'm more of like, I'm gonna cut you off till you can prove to me that you changed.
Okay.
And then I guess last year, February, March, he OD'd twice in like a 40-day span.
Oof.
And so my mom had called me the first time, and I was like, it sucks to say, but I was like, well, what does he expect? I was like kind of being an asshole about it. But then when it happened again, I could hear, I guess more than anything, I could hear the true hurt in my mom's voice the second time after it happened. And then I remember I was in the car, and like I was talking to my mom, and I was in my driveway, and I remember I just got off the phone and I just started like bawling, crying. Yeah. Because I just realized, and it's not like my family isn't, whatever, successful people, but I have the most power in my family to be able to change a situation like that. And for so many years, I didn't. And so I made a promise to myself and my mom and people around me that I was going to do everything that I could to help dig him out of this hole. I talked to hundreds of people.
People have to want to change, though.
And that's the only thing I was blind to. I knew it, and so many people told me that, and I was like, no, I got this. I'm gonna change him. I'm gonna figure this out. I'm gonna do it. I looked up everything. I looked up the most successful rates of rehab facilities. I looked up this shit called like ibogaine. It's like almost like ayahuasca. It's like a hallucinogenic drug.
Sure, yeah.
Have you heard of ibogaine before?
I've heard of the thing where you basically trip and then you like pass your addiction like while you're tripping in a way, and then
I looked up all these things. I was like ready to do everything for this dude. I had like actors. I had what's his name, Alec Baldwin on the phone, like ready to like fly my brother out to, after he got out of jail, to the facility and like help pay for it and like get other donors to help him, like send him away. Like I had like so many people to support him, and then he just kind of shit on me, like, and it hurt. And I remember the last time I talked to him, we were at my grandma's house, and it's kind of a lot of detail, but anyways, I tried to I did everything I could to sit down and be calm and try to just let him know. And he has a woman too who is an enabler. She's an addict too, and she was there, and I was like, hey, I will help you too. I will have people help you get clean too, but you have to let me take my brother. And she just would like put her head down, and then like my brother was just convinced that he didn't need any help, and I told him I was going to raise all this money to help him. He's like, why don't you just help me, then raise that money to help me get on my feet, just. And then when I remember my mom dropped me off at one of my best friend's house that I grew up with. After that, because they had an extra spare bedroom. That's where I was staying, and I remember before I got out of the car, I said, Mom, I know, because she always tells me, I will never know how it feels to have to endure something like this from your own child. Yeah. Like, you hear people, parents who are enablers and stuff like that because they just can't drop their love for their child. But I remember like when I got out of the car, I said, Mom, I understand where you're coming from, but that is not Michael anymore. Like that is not your son. That is not who we grew up with. That is not the person that I knew my whole life. And I've maybe spoke to him once since, and I'm still here to help. I am. If he wants to, I'll help him. At one point he's like, do you want to can I come to California? And I'm like, the last place you need to be is California. You walk. Yeah. There's a dude that's left. There's a dude that's left right up the street. Who can,
just gonna say, I know,
my bro. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was tough, and those were tough times last year too. Like, with having surgery, and
that's what I'm saying. You went through a lot last year.
No, it was. I try to downplay it, but like, a lot of people tell me that after I tell them a story like that, and they're like, "Dude, what? Like, that's crazy," Yeah. But it was like, I think that I've always been not raised to be like, if you're emotional, you're soft. But I've always been just kind of built tough, just like no one feels sorry, just keep pushing, just keep pushing, just keep pushing. But after 32 years of just keeping on, man, it starts to catch up to you.
Yeah. It's hard.
And then whenever I go through that, and then I go through having to withdraw from 2 fights with, not fighting, and then it's like my whole life I've always been working towards something. And then it's like whenever I got that taken away from me, I was struggling bad last year.
Just depressed.
October, November. Oh yeah. And like, I don't know if I want to say, it's like, the UFC really, really supported me in those times. And I just want to let people know that, I had a couple really good talks with Hunter, and, they helped me find like a guy out here to talk to and stuff like that. Yeah. And it's kind of crazy that my whole life, I never even fathom. I always thought that if it ever got to the point that I needed to talk to somebody, that I lost control of myself, right? But after I did it and I started opening up to other, very strong male figures in my life, they're like, oh yeah, man, I've been talking to somebody for like 5 years. I'm like, what?
Like, why did you tell me?
Why did you tell me, bro?
The best kept secret, I guess.
That was your secret.
I'm crazy over here, bro.
Yeah.
And so it's like, even like, my guy he tells me, he's like, it's like for 32 years, I've just been like putting a lid on things, putting a lid on things. And then eventually
we talk about that all the time. You just tamp it down.
Just tamp it down. Just tamp it.
I didn't feel that.
And the thing is like, you guys both know too, in your own respective ways, Angie being an athlete, Karyn being on TV, being an anchor. Our lives are in the public light, right? So every time we ever slip up, it's not like the guy who works at 7-Eleven slip up. He just keeps on moving. There's 100 people there telling you how you fucked up. Yeah. And it's like, I've actually had to do a lot of work on not letting comments and stuff like that get to me. Because I'm sure as females, you guys get harassed all the time. But also being a short wrestler, I get harassed all the time, right?
Yeah.
And I won't say it like bothered me, but it was definitely like, I'm like replying to him like, fuck you, you know what I mean? But I'm like,
you can't though.
And that's That's the greenness in you, though. That's the greenness.
Yeah, for sure,
Eventually,
for sure.
you learn how to block or let it
Yeah.
slide or just
For
not
sure.
care.
It's like, for
But
what? Why am I
yeah,
replying to this kid? Like what?
Yeah.
Like, what do you do? Like, I bust my ass, bro, and I have for my whole life. So
Right.
Yeah.
ain't shit you could take from me, you know?
yeah. The
Right.
only opinions you need to listen to are the people around you that you trust,
That you
like
trust and
were
that you
saying.
love, and your own opinion of yourself. Be honest with yourself.
Yeah,
Exactly.
100%.
Well, Davinda,
So
I'm
listen,
glad you're enjoying this. Davinda De Silva. Again, just for people to know, this is on Twitch and Twitter, and then you can hear it on YouTube. I mean, on Spotify and Apple Podcasts and iHeartRadio as well. I mean, yeah, that's the thing, though. Being able to now have that help outside of the octagon, you don't have to imagine that's going to help you coming back to fight week because it has been a layoff. So, it would be psychologically a bit of a hurdle, right, to get over something like that. So I would imagine that the fact that you now have this other person that you can rely on and talk things out with, I'm hoping that that would mean that this comeback is going to be a little more smooth, you know what I mean? And it won't feel like it's going to be having been such a long time.
Yeah, and I guess, a couple people have mentioned, re-rust or my layoff or whatever, but honestly, I'm such in a good place mentally and physically that I don't see any issue. Like I don't see. I'm not generally by now. What it's Sunday. It's like I'm like starting to already feel all right, it's about to go down.
Nice.
And now I'm like shit. Let's go. Like I'm good. I'm good. Like I'm good. At this point,
I love it.
I'm like I couldn't be more. I mean, I'm sure I could be. You can always be more ready. But I'm like, shit, I'm ready. So what I got to worry about,
Nice. That's
Yeah,
the best
for sure.
feeling going into a camp. Like, because sometimes you go into a camp or you go into a fight week, rather, and you're just like, let's see what happens. We'll see what happens.
Happen, right? Certain things happen during camp. You get hurt, or maybe it's like, I don't know, or your weight's heavy or something like that, and you're like, man, I don't know, bro. I'm just gonna go fight this. I guess I'm just gonna go fight.
Right.
But,
it's that meme, the gritting the teeth. You're like, I don't know.
Like, I don't know, yes. But but it's like it's crazy how those things, because people could be like, you guys are professionals. How could you let that happen? I'm like, I don't know, bro. Shit just slips away sometimes. Like, perfect work. Human, just like you. This shit is hard, bro.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, what we do is hard. If I wanted easy, I would have quit this shit a long time ago, and I would have, went and got a job somewhere else or whatever. I have a college degree. I'm educated. I could do something else, but I chose this for my life. So sometimes it just slips away from us. I don't know how to explain it. It just happens. So so deal with it. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
That's where I'm at now. Like, just deal with it. I don't know. Shit happens.
Deal with it. Right. So in a perfect world, how would the fight end with you on Saturday in Austin?
I don't have a UFC finish yet. I want to finish.
Hey.
I want to finish him. And I have a lot of different ways to be able to finish him, and I feel strongly about it. So I love to finish him.
Nice.
Might not happen early, but second, third.
Okay.
Yeah, you get your groove back a little bit. Get in there and play around a little bit.
So
let those hands go a little.
We gonna get tired in the first. I promise that.
Yeah.
And then we're gonna walk into the second. We're gonna walk into the second and see who's more tired.
Yeah.
You better be ready, because I'm ready.
Nice.
Ooh,
I'm excited.
Ready. Oh my gosh.
You do sound ready, and I'll be there. I'm working this fight. I'm excited to go down to Texas.
You're gonna be there, KB.
Yeah, I'll be there. So yeah. Cool. Well, I'm excited, and
I got a question. What's your favorite takedown?
My favorite takedown? Just a straight double leg, man. I was born and bred off that. Like that was like paid my paychecks. I'm a double leg since I was in jeans at wrestling practice when I was 4 years old. I used to go to wrestling practice in jeans, boy. And I was just double legging. Little kids. And that's when you knew I was destined to be who I am now. So
Nice.
I love it.
Yeah.
Nice.
I love it. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining us, and safe travels. Yeah, we'll see you soon, but safe travels and everything. Yeah, and looking forward to seeing you back in action.
Yeah, I'll be looking for that double leg and those knockout punches.
Hell yeah.
I can't wait. Thanks for coming on, man.
Yeah,
All right,
take it
thanks, guys.
easy.
All right,
See
see ya.
ya. Bye. Good dude, huh?
Yeah, what a good dude.
Yes.
And I didn't know that thing about his brother. That's I have shithead brother too. Well, he's not shithead, but like
Yeah.
mental issues or whatever, and that leads to addiction a lot. So that is really tough to deal with. And
Yeah.
man, he had to overcome so much
I know. I
the
know.
last couple of years. It's like not just COVID, you have all this other shit to deal
All
with.
this other stuff. Yeah.
All this other stuff. So good for him. Being able to come in here seemingly light. He seems very light this week. Like he doesn't have a lot on his mind. He doesn't have a lot weighing him down. He has someone to talk to, which is
Yeah.
something I recommend to anyone. Like
Yeah.
if you don't have somebody to talk to about the shit going on in your head, like stamping it down, it might work for a little while, but eventually it builds up and it's too much for one person to handle. So yeah, that's really awesome getting to kind of pick his brain and get to know him a bit, because before that conversation I just thought of him as a little DC, like, oh, he's baby DC. Yeah, like he's Dan Jr. You know.
Right. Yeah, exactly. No, he's a lot more than that. Yeah, I reached out to him. I remember when he was going through some of that family stuff, and he had posted something about it. And I reached out to him, him, and we exchanged some messages or something. He's a good dude, and bunch of this. I did get to know him obviously because, since I used to work with DC, a lot of time he'd be in with him or come around. So I took interest in him right from his debut, and I did work that fight with him and Eric Spicely, and we knew Eric Spicely from Tough. And so, he was on my radar from day one in terms of his, appearance in the UFC. So, he's just a good dude. I like to, I root for him. He's a nice guy.
Yeah, he seems really cool, and I'm excited.
But I like Spicely too. But hey, so there was something though that we were saying in there, which reminded me of something that you had said to me last night when we were watching the fight. And that was when we were talking about the power that a wrestler can have when it comes to throwing either overhand rights or just having that knockout power. Once you improve your wrestling, you can also improve your stand-up. And we were saying that after Weili Zhang last night KO'd Joanna, because you were like, yo, because I was just so impressed with her wrestling, and I'd even tweeted out like, yo, she's like leveled up so much. Yeah. She's like so much better. And then the fact that it just made everything better. It was like by improving this one thing, the whole water level went up high, and then she got that crazy knockout. And I said to you, it was weird. It was like, I was looking at Joanna before the fight, and I was like, I don't know, man. There was something I just got this feeling where I was like, I don't know. And then that kind of a knockout was brutal. And that's not to say I didn't expect her to be able to come back and freaking scrap. Because you can go away, like she could have gone away and gone into a secret cave and also leveled the F up, and we wouldn't have known it either. And she could have come out at 2.0 as well. Exactly. So you really don't know what you're going to get, but whew, what a knockout. My God.
But we did see visions of that in the Rose fight. A lot of people thought that Rose was just, that fight could have gone either way because of all the good work Weili did with her wrestling and with the groundwork. She took Rose's back at one point, which hadn't been done in a long time since she fought Carlo the first time. So yeah, it was, we saw the glimpses of that, and I felt like that was going to happen again. But because Joanna's takedown defense is pretty legendary, I wasn't sure if she was going to be able to get the takedown, but she got it in spectacular fashion, man. She took her down. We were even tripping out. Like I was with a couple of my grappler friends watching the fight, and we were tripping out at how she was holding the leg. She was like, she took her down, but then she had that leg elevated, so Joanna couldn't pop right back up, and was landing the ground and pound, and really made it look dirty. I felt like that was the beginning of the knockout right there. The fact that she was able to land some nasty hammer fists and just really pepper Joanna up before she was able to get back up. And then in the second round, man, that knockout was so brutal. But I jokingly said her wrestling made her striking better, but I do stand by that statement. that combination had nothing to do with wrestling. Just the fact that she was able to take Joanna down, take her out of her element, make her get a little like eager, make her come forward and try to just stop the takedown before it started happening, opened her up for that spinning back fist. So it's like, man, it was just really cool to see Weili's evolution, because at that level a lot of times it's hard to show. It's hard to show that you're evolving when you're fighting people who are so good, who are
Yeah.
so ready to face whatever new tricks you have up your sleeve. But Weili's fundamentals were on point that fight.
Yeah, and I think what I also recognize, and it was something that the commentators were saying as well too, is I look at her and I do think she could have picked a number of sports and excelled at them because she's such a pure athlete. She's a freaking machine,
Yeah.
Like when you watch that chick train and you see her stuff, and you're like, geez, like what are you doing? And so I feel like that's just the cool thing. It's once she learns all the cheat codes, she's going to be ridiculous because she's already got the baseline physical requirements to just be a machine.
Mm-hmm. No, it's really cool to watch.
Yeah. Okay, so I know. Yeah, well, the title. I mean, they said
definitely she gets the title.
I mean, Carla's hands have come along as well too, but Weili seems so much more powerful.
Yeah, and I think it's going to be interesting to see if Weili does still try to mix it up because Carla is a wrestler. I feel like she shouldn't care. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like she shouldn't that shouldn't affect her game plan. The fact that Carla's a wrestler, she should just go in there and do the same thing that she's been doing, because against a grappler like Rose, she was able to get really good advantages from that, like positional advantages. So I feel like she should come at Carla the same way. If she comes at her with pressure, with the striking, with the wrestling, she'll be able to open things up that maybe maybe wouldn't be there if she just tried to do like a striking plan. And you see how they really cancel each other up. Carla and Rose did when they fought, just because Rose was like, I'm going to stay on my feet, and Carla was like, I'm going to take you down, and then nothing happened. I think if you just go forward and be prepared for everything that can happen, then you're going to see more opportunities to score, as opposed to waiting and, being cautious. I mean, I don't know what I'm talking about, but the way she approached the Joanna fight, the way she approached the Rose fight, I feel like she should do the same thing to get a finish, or to get even just like a win against Carla Esparza. On the other hand, Carla is usually a lot more impressive than she was against Rose. So she's going to have to respect that and look at those past fights and, just make sure she's putting respect on her name at the same time, and working on the things that she needs to work on in order to pop back up, in order to get reversals, do this and that, so she doesn't get stuck underneath Carla, which Carla's really good at shutting people down. She is really good. We'll see what happens, because that's another one where I feel like Carla's going to be a huge underdog,
of course,
but she might upset a lot of people. Like that's what Carla does. She upsets people. People don't realize how good she is at what she does, because of, I don't know, maybe the level of grappling of her opponents or whatever, but she's really good at what she does. So I'm excited for that fight for sure. And I'm wondering if it's going to happen before the end of the year.
It could, maybe in Weili was saying, hey, maybe over in Abu Dhabi, because that way it's neutral territory.
Oh yeah.
That's what she was saying after the fight, which is cool, because Jessica Andrade went to China, and that's when she lost it to Zhang Weili, and then Zhang Weili lost over in Florida, right? And so it's the whole thing of the neutral territory. I do respect that. And I was saying to you, I was surprised that Joanna retired, only because I feel like there were so many still possible good fights for her. But when she said, I want to have babies and stuff like that, you're like, well, yeah, you can't argue with that. You need to stop fighting. You need to give your body time to return to some sort of normalcy, and yeah, if you feel like your clock is ticking, that's a very valid reason. And she's in wars and stuff now, right? So it is like, yeah, what does she want to keep putting the damage in for if she doesn't think she can be champ again? Why go through the damage if she can also make money outside of the octagon, which she has said she can do quite well now? So happy trails. She was an amazing champion. I mean, she's so feisty. My God, so fun.
Yeah.
Like, I love watching her fight. So yeah, really, she'll be missed. Is my point.
For sure. Like, I think just the fact that she had to cut so much weight was
Yeah.
probably part of the reason she had to, because when you have to cut a lot of weight, there's a lot of girls who are right in the middle where there should be a 120-pound weight class for them,
Mm,
because their competitive edge is right in the middle. That's their perfect weight.
mhm.
And I feel like she was one of those. Like, she was huge, she looked huge against whoever she was fighting. And it you have to plan, like that takes
Yeah.
months out of your life, just planning around making this weight on this certain date. So it's not just that, you're miserable while you're doing that because you're dieting, you're not having fun, you're not able to go out and party. You have to like
Yeah.
stick to a very strict routine so your body like loses weight in the way that it's supposed to at the exact right time. And on top of that, we've talked about it before, when you are ranked high, when you're a former champion, you're not getting scrubs, you're never getting a can.
Right.
You don't get a tune-up fight. It's rare that you get those. But when you're
Yeah.
at Joanna's level, when you've done what she's done, she's only going to be fighting contenders, and that's not
Yeah.
fair. Like like personally, I feel like that's not fair. I feel like you know if she wanted to, you should let her fight a couple like contender series girls and just get a couple highlight reel wins before she exits out. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
But that's the reality of the situation. So I'm not surprised that she retired, just because she's like,
Yeah.
okay, this is what I'm fighting for the rest of my career, and I'm 35 and I want to have kids, and I don't want to have kids when I'm 40. So
Right.
I'm retiring.
Right.
And I think it
Right.
was a smart decision. That brain damage, you don't get that much at strawweight. Like, you don't. I think there are only a handful of strawweights that have been knocked out twice really
Yeah.
badly in the UFC, and she's one of them. So after that, I'm not surprised she retired. I won't be surprised if after her brain heals a bit, she'll be like, I'm coming back.
Coming
But
back.
but at the
Yeah.
same time, I think she's retired. Like,
Yeah.
I think this was a good um I think it was a great fight, but she definitely showed that she's not, her heart isn't in it anymore. She
Right.
wants to move on to the next chapter, and good for her. She's allowed to. She's
She's definitely
allowed to,
allowed.
despite what all the fans may want. She's definitely allowed to move on
Absolutely.
and enjoy, the riches that she made in the fight game.
Absolutely. And for those who were curious, we talked about the Valentina Talia Santos fight at the beginning of the show before Duran came in. So just afterwards, just back that up, and then you can check that. So I am curious, though, how you were feeling about our new champion. Congratulations to Jiri Prochazka, but I was rooting for Glover Teixeira. I was
I know.
crushed that it was so close to the end of the fight. And he's like never been submitted before in his whole career or
I
whatever. And it's like
know.
28 seconds and he was going to win on the cards. Like, that was heartbreaking. But then when I saw him in the video that he posted after, and I saw his face and this and that, and I was like, man, he got banged up. But then he called for the rematch. And of course, I think a lot of people would be here for it because that fight was
Yes.
insane. That was so good.
Yes, give him a rematch. He deserves it. Like, give him one. Like, he needs like one rematch. Just give it to him.
Yep.
Man, Glover is such a good dude, man, and he's so good. Like, I feel like if he was 1 year younger, he would have won that fight.
Yeah.
Just like that little bit of extra damage that he's taken from all the wars that he's been in.
Mhm.
That was the thing that slowed him down. That was the thing that gave him adversity. And then when Jiri, when he's sunk in that choke, it wasn't like a technical, a crazy technical choke. He was just
Right.
like they were both surviving, and Jiri saw an opening and he snatched the neck up. Like they were literally just both surviving the
Yeah.
round, trying to score as much as possible, trying to hit each other and then get a big reset. Like there were a lot of big resets during that 5th round. And Jiri just like he saw blood, he saw that neck. It was just a little bit extended. He jumped on it and he was able to get the finish. And like I was watching with my grappling friends, and we're like, no, wait. Well, the hooks aren't in. Like maybe it's no, it worked. No.
Yeah.
But it was just like when you're so exhausted, when you're just trying to do whatever you can, trying to get on top. I think that's what was happening. He was just trying to get on top, trying to scramble, even though he had like lactic acid in every single muscle of his body.
God.
You know, those little tiny like half seconds where you just do that.
Yeah.
That's when the finish that's when you can sink in the choke. I think Jiri said he didn't even practice that choke. It wasn't like a thing that he knew how to do. He just saw the neck there and snatched it up and was like, oh, okay, I'm around his head and I should be able to choke him out because my arms are around his head.
Right.
And he got the choke. So like definitely good instinct by that guy. Like that little antenna on his head is doing something, because it was like, oh, grab the neck, and then he went and did it and got the win. Like that guy's definitely something. But I think the only reason I'm not 100% behind him is because he had such a quick ride to the title, you know, and it's why I wasn't behind.
What did Anderson Silva?
Yeah, it's why I wasn't behind Weili at first either. She had such a quick ride to the title, and then you're like, all right, well, you got to jump the line above a lot of people who have been grinding, winning and losing, but like grinding in the UFC, and you just had to fight 2 people, and then you got this title shot against a very punchable champion, you know, even though the punches usually hurting him usually gets you choked out, like your boy Oliveira. It was still a very punchable champion. But you know, I'm interested to see who gets him next. I would love the Glover rematch. I think it would be fireworks no matter who wins that fight. But yeah, I'm interested to see if other people are like jumping at the bit, because I feel like a lot of guys in light heavy are just like chomping at the bit to get their hands on Jiri now.
Yeah, because, well, he was saying after, like, oh, I'm sorry for that sloppy performance. And there definitely were things that he did that were kind of wild that if you were technical, you could exploit.
But the wildness is what wins the fights.
Yeah.
Like the Reyes fight was wild as fuck. Like, yeah, like I think
it was,
because of how cool the knockout highlight was. But that fight, like they got tired, they got sloppy. And like, I think that's what he does. I think he draws people into this firefight.
Craziness.
He hurts them. Yeah, he hurts them. And then it gets crazy. And then they're both tired. But he's just able to survive in that moment a little better than the people that he's fought.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's really wild to think that Glover was so close to retaining. Like it's just crazy. It just keeps crazy. Well, yeah, this person's saying, you know, Jiri he just keeps coming at you. He just like doesn't stop. Prank Game saying, though, he was surprised with the submission, because I guess that was a crazy bet. If you had said Jiri by submission, you know what I mean? It would have been like some insane thing that you would have never ever. Yeah. So, but yeah. And so Joe is saying they could see a case where both Glover and Talia Santos get rematches. You know, that could happen. That could definitely happen, because they were both epic fights, and you know, they're, you know, that's poor Brazil. They were so close on 2 occasions to having those belts.
Brazil would be so being in a bar in Brazil on that, like last night, would have been really, really interesting. Like,
yeah, I know. All right. Well, so anything you want to get to before we wrap it up here? Anything else from the night that stood out to you or anything? You know, Fialho got knocked out. I mean, it was one of those things where he's fought so many times in such a short span, and like your luck's gonna run out at some point.
Yeah. Wait, who?
Andre Fialho. Remember, like he won at
Oh,
Apex, and then he was like, Dana, can I have a fight down in Phoenix next week? And Dana's like, sure. So then he
yeah,
fought again in
whatever you
Phoenix and
want.
won in Phoenix at UFC 74 or whatever. And then now he's fighting again. It's like, well, yeah, like you're not, yeah, you
Yeah.
play with fire, bro. Like pump the brakes.
Yeah, and it was against Jake Matthews too, who is just like a monster.
Dude's
So
good. Yeah.
yeah, I caught that fight. I've caught the replays of that fight because I was in transit
Yeah.
to the place that had the
Right.
pay-per-view. But yeah, like that is definitely a fight you want to have some brain rest for, taking a
Yeah.
fight against Jake Matthews. That was really, but he had moments again. He
Yeah.
had moments in the
Yep.
fight. He was doing well. He got a takedown, like almost subbed him, right? And not almost subbed him, but
Can't
like
remember.
just like got on top of him, was doing
Yeah.
stuff, and then Jake Matthews stood up and beat him up. But yeah, that's tough. One thing I was a little sad about was the fact that our boy Kuilabo,
Oh, Josh Kulabau.
Kulabau,
Yeah.
infamously bad at names. Kulabau, they didn't get fight of the night. That fight was epic.
Well, but the
Man.
main event, though, come on.
Well, not fight of the night, but just like a little extra cash on the
something.
side.
Yeah, they
Like,
should have gotten a little extra spring. Him and Sang Woo Choi. Yeah, that was great.
Yeah, like there were more than 4 bonuses, right?
Yeah, there were a few performance bonuses.
I
Yeah.
think it was like 5 or something.
Yeah.
So I was a little sad because they were dishing out extra bonuses that they didn't give at least like a little extra cash to our boy, because
Yeah,
man, that fight was so good.
it
And
was.
the judging, man, like that was the first cue that the judging was going to be weird, because I thought that was a clear win for him, but it ended up being
Yeah.
split. One
Split,
judge
right.
saw it for Choi. So I think that was my clue that Shevchenko was probably going to win.
Right.
Yeah. I was like, they got their orders. They know. They already know. They already know who they're voting for.
They already know. Eesh, yikes. Well, yeah, it was exciting. I'm not sure who I'm working with this weekend. I don't know, but maybe no, not. It probably won't be. I don't know, but it's in Texas. So
Yeehaw.
I will be going to Austin.
Yay. Have fun.
Yeah. Texas is.
Get your gun.
This is.
Yeah.
I've been a few times, but I've never been to Austin. So that'll be interesting. I'll be interested to
Isn't
see.
Austin weird? Isn't that the same?
Austin's supposedly like the cool city or whatever.
Yeah,
They're like
there you
the
go.
one that's different from all the other ones. So
There you go. You'll be amongst eccentric characters.
we'll see.
It'll be fun.
We'll see. It should be fun. Hey, look, it just anyway, getting back to work and doing that is always fun. So
Yay.
yeah, this is where people can find us. I forgot to. Yeah, so we're on Twitch TV /Angie Overkill. You can find us YouTube /Karyn Bryant, and Twitter /Karyn Bryant. And then I should have actually made another one to say that we're also on Spotify and Apple Podcasts and iHeartRadio as well.
Yeah.
And you are doing you have Sirius this week as well, right?
Yes, I have Sirius this week at 9 a.m. Pacific, so 11 Eastern.
Okay.
Yes, and also you can find me at Angie Overkill on Instagram and Twitter, Overkill Hill on TikTok, and yeah, that's it.
Okay. Yeah. So I'm not sure who our guest is this week, and Atsu and I have to figure that out for Tuesday night. But we do have Tuesday night festivities. But last week we had Tim Means on, and Tim is going to be fighting at UFC Austin. He's fighting Kevin Holland. So
yeah,
it's going to be
Kevin Holland on.
Yeah.
tomorrow, or wait, no, Tuesday.
Yeah, that'd be fun. That would be fun. But yeah, no, Tim was such a great guest. We had a really good talk with him. And if people were interested today in this show, when we were talking to Duran about things with his brother, Tim has been to jail. Tim was talking about things he learned behind bars. Tim was talking about like growing up in Albuquerque, some of the hard times and things that he's gone through. He has quite a story as well. Remember his ankle and his leg had broken that time in the fight with Nico Price. He came back from that injury. Like the dude has quite a story to tell. And so we had a really good talk with him. So people should definitely check out that episode. It was good. Really good.
Check it out.
Check it out. Anyway, okay. Well, thank you so much for joining us, and we hope everybody enjoys the rest of your weekend. And yeah, I guess that is it. We will just kind of say goodbye for now. Let me make sure that I get the right video to say goodbye. Okay, yeah, that is it for now, folks. We'll see you next week.